There are lots of blocks in Minecraft, and lots of the blocks have lots of different uses, and some of those uses are more secret than others. Today I thought I would explore that. I opened up my inventory and just started looking through, thinking of all the weird ways in which you can use some of these blocks. The strange consequences of new features being introduced, or weird fringe use cases. It turns out there's a lot of them. I've got 68 to get through, so let's get cracking. Leaf stone. You can actually send redstone signals through leaves, making use of a log. You see, when you attach or detach a log from a line of leaves, the updates get sent through the leaves and you can detect that with an observer. Actual trapdoors. Trapdoors don't cover entire blocks, but mobs think that they cover entire blocks, meaning that they try and walk on them and promptly fall to their deaths. Waterlogged stairs. Incredibly useful inside of tight redstone contraptions that involve water. It blanks off two sides, meaning that you can control the flow of water a lot easier. Shape-shifting stairs. I kid you not, that was take number 10 of me doing that, and that was the best one. Corner stairs have this wonderful property where they connect up. It looks fantastic in decorations, but it can also be used inside of redstone contraptions to hide staircases. Wallstone. Another strange way to send redstone signals, this time is making use of walls. You see this line of walls right here? It's currently kind of flat. Well, when we push a block into it, it becomes one of the pillars. But this has the nice added bonus of instantly sending an update down the line of walls. That wall could go from the build limit all the way down to bedrock, and it would still send the redstone signal instantly. Zombie-proof doors. This door is currently open due to the way that I placed it. Now it is closed. If that's confusing to you, then there's a chance you might be a zombie. Zombies regularly break wooden doors, but they can't break doors that are open. So if you place it so that it looks closed while it's open, they won't be able to break it. I will admit this one's incredibly obvious, but it's so obvious that people don't often talk about it, which means that many people might not know. If you set netherrack on fire, it will stay on fire forever. Falling fence gates. Fence gates stop water from flowing, and when they're open, nothing can collide with them. They don't have a hitbox. This makes them very useful in water-based farms. Redstone slabs. Slabs are transparent blocks that you can place redstone components on top of, meaning that you can snake redstone lines up in seemingly impossible ways. Fences and iron bars. Fences connect with fences, iron bars connect with iron bars, but they don't connect with each other, which makes for fairly interesting looking redstone doors. Movable blast resistance. You would hope with them being the most expensive blocks in the game, they would have some unique features, and I can confirm that ancient debris and also netherite blocks have the interesting feature set that they're pushable by pistons, but they also have very high blast resistance, which means that they don't explode when they're exploded. Super useful for things like tunnel bores, passing sounds. As of Minecraft 1.20, amethyst blocks can now be used to transmit skulk frequencies. Unoxidizing copper. Everyone knows you can remove oxidization with an axe, but did you know you can also remove oxidization with lightning? I mean, this might be the most excessive way to get rid of oxidization on copper I can think of. Shulker clip. You can actually phase through shulker boxes by just standing on top of one of them and opening it, and then you'll fall through it, giving you access to a secret chest or something. Stationary terracotta. Glazed terracotta blocks aren't just weird looking, they also have a weird feature that allows them to be moved by pistons but not stuck to by slime. This is one of those things that sounds like a game changer, but then rarely gets used. However, I'm very glad it's in the game. The fine line. Blocks like farmland, path blocks, and soul sand are slightly shorter than regular blocks, which means you can actually shoot through the gap. Temporary transparency. This slight shortness actually converts the regular dirt or grass block from being a solid block in terms of redstone to being a transparent block, so it doesn't transmit redstone signals. Very useful for secret entrances. Muddy items. Mud blocks are also slightly shorter than regular blocks, even though it doesn't look like it. Now this means that you can actually throw items on top of them and they will be picked up by a hopper underneath. Dripping mud. Placing dripstone underneath a mud block will eventually turn it into a clay block, which means fun chains of farms can exist. For example, if you want to fully automate the creation of clay, you can make a stone generator, then a machine that turns that stone into moss, then you can plant either a large spruce tree to get podzol, or acacia trees to get rooted dirt. You can convert either one of those into regular dirt, then using a water bottle, you get yourself mud, and then you can drip out the mud to create clay, which you then blast with TNT. Or you could just, choose not to build with clay. Frost stander. If you put frost walker boots on an armor stand, then you can actually use it to create areas of ice. Now obviously in the light this ice will disappear, but if you build it underground, then the ice will stick around. This is very useful for creating automated ice tunnels. Ice tunnels that build themselves, which is good because boats on top of ice travel incredibly fast. In fact, they're one of the fastest methods of transport in Minecraft. The lava farm. If you place pointed dripstone underneath lava and then a cauldron underneath that pointed dripstone, the cauldron will eventually fill up with lava. Wool blocks. They've been used inside of redstone contraptions for years because they're good for color coding. Well, now they have an actual use inside of Minecraft. They block sounds from getting to skulk sensors. It was at this moment I realised my sound's been off this entire time, and I don't know why. Sad carpets. It used to be that if you had a bunch of carpets stacked on top of one another, and then a mob or villager on top of it, that villager would not be able to pathfind. Unfortunately, that is no longer the case. If you were still confused by carpets, you wouldn't meet this fate. I so want this back in the game. It was amazing for villager trading halls and preventing lag on servers. Secret spyglass. If you throw stained glass on top of many layers of stained glass, then it allows you to see through the layers of stained glass right the way down to the bottom. That was a word sandwich, wasn't it? The J points north. If you ever find yourself lost and the F3 key on your keyboard has mysteriously stopped working, just look down at a block of cobblestone, look for the letter J up at the top, and you will know that you are facing north. Moss block flying machine. If you want a flying machine to pop out from underneath the ground, then the best blocks to use are moss blocks, because the flying machine will just blast straight through them. It looks like something out of a film. Why did it disappear? It's a disappearing flying machine. That's the most advanced thing I've ever built. The most unadvanced thing I've ever built is this. In the early days of your Minecraft world, before you get enchantments like Aqua Affinity, it's always good to travel around with some magma blocks so you can actually breathe underwater. And on the topic of water, waterlogging the new mangrove roots literally turns them into a block of water. The water doesn't flow anywhere, which is just incredibly useful for things like cobblestone generators. Weird redstone. Walking on top of or updating redstone ore actually creates a block update that can be detected by an observer. This redstone ore has now been activated, and after a random amount of time it will deactivate, which will send another update through our observer. Prying obsidian is the only block in the game that is unexplodable whilst also being an illuminator. It gives out a light level of 10. Breaking mushrooms. When you grow a large mushroom, it can break things. For example, you can use it to break end portal frames. Who would have thought this would be such a destructor? It looks so lovely. Strange slime farming. Brown mushrooms give off a light level of 1, which means they are the perfect thing to line a slime farm that you're building in a swamp biome, because that means that only slimes will be able to spawn. This was discovered by the technical Minecraft community after I built a swamp-based slime farm that was so bad, I accidentally revolutionized slime farming by being terrible. Peace, love, and plants. You don't need to kill a bunch of skeletons to get bone meal. Instead, you can use a composter, and a good thing to use with composters is moss blocks, because you can fully automate their production. Stone generator, stone turns into moss, moss gets blown up by TNT, everything goes into a composter, bone meal. Bamboo. A single piece of bamboo fires up a furnace for the least amount of time possible. No one would ever do it, which makes using the timing of the furnace turning on and then the furnace turning off a great key for a hidden entrance. Cactus breaker. Cactuses break minecarts, which means they're incredibly useful to use at the end of your minecart tracks, because it means your minecart gets automatically picked up. Wither spawner. Mobs don't spawn on blocks that will hurt them, so if you're building up a wither farm, then you should probably use wither roses, because that will prevent any other nether mobs from spawning apart from wither skeletons, making it a lot more efficient. Navigating by sun. Flowers. Again, if your F3 key mysteriously stops working, then just remember sunflowers always point east. Secret codes. If you're a security conscious individual with a terrible memory, then just know that lily pads will always face in the same direction when you place them on a specific block, which means that you can store your codes using lily pads. This is always incredibly satisfying. And it's also not my idea. Simply Sark thought of it like 10 years ago. Sea pickles are incredibly good at aligning items inside of water streams. The item will hit the sea pickle and it will align itself between the ice and then the line of hoppers that's off the edge, which makes it perfect for use in storage systems. Water redstone. You can send redstone signals through water. All you have to do is place a block of soul sand down at the bottom, it will be converted into a bubble column, and that update can be detected by an observer. Now it takes a little while when you flick it on, but when you turn it off, it's instant. Trampling zombies. Zombies and zombie pigmen are drawn to turtle eggs. They want to trample them. Now this is a game mechanic that we use a lot inside of farms, because it means you can force the mobs to pathfind to their deaths. Underwater explosions. When TNT explodes underwater, it doesn't normally do any damage to the environment, but if you place sand on top of the TNT before you explode it, then it does. Very useful for ocean monuments and mining fatigue. Dead corals. Probably one of the least exciting sounding blocks in the game, but without it, we wouldn't have TNT TNT duplication, and that's probably one of the most exciting things in the game. SpongeBob dry pants. If you place sponge blocks in the nether, then they will dry instantly. I remember the days when you had to furnace them, it was a nightmare. Super smoker. Other than reducing fall damage, hay bales can also be used underneath campfires to increase the amount of smoke they give off, which is perfect for smoke signals. And on the topic of smoke, smoking out beehives while you're harvesting either honeycomb or honey bottles will stop the bees from getting angry at you. Slim blocks. Honey blocks, despite looking like full-size blocks, are actually only as big as the inner part of the honey block. Now this means that you can actually shoot arrows through the gaps. Constant firing. This redstone lamp is permanently on, even though it's actually being powered by lots of very fast redstone pulses. That's because redstone lamps take 1 tick to turn off. I've actually used this inside of a really big pixel art painting program. The fletching block doesn't have a single secret use. In fact, it doesn't even have a regular use. Just give us functionality. It's been years. Shulker boxes. They're incredibly useful in many ways, but one way that they are very handy for redstone contraptions is they're dispensable and breakable storers of redstone signal strength. Ceremonial burning. Yeah, if you drop a mob on top of a campfire, it will burn to death as if it's on fire, but the good thing is the items from the mob, they don't actually get destroyed, so you can pick them up using hoppers. This is great for use in farms. Soul campfires are even more effective killing machines. Composters and cauldrons. These are movable blocks that store redstone signal strength, and importantly, they don't power the blocks around them. For example, a redstone block would actually power the piston that is on here, and it just wouldn't work. You will see these inside of redstone contraptions a lot. The jukebox is a block that redirects redstone lines. It's a solid block that you can take redstone signal strength through, and you can also store redstone signal strength inside of it, and in Minecraft 1.20 you'll also be able to drop or hop items in and out of it. It's very unusual. The enchanting table has the secret feature of causing a massive fight within the Minecraft community. Apparently it doesn't know its name. Different versions of Minecraft call it something different. In my version, it's called an enchanting table, and that's what I call it, okay? That's what side I'm on. The lodestone. Other than being the best looking immovable object in the game, you can also right click on it with a compass, and then your compass will always navigate back to it. The trapholding? Scaffolding isn't just good for doing builds, it's also very good for killing people. See, if you break the bottom bit of scaffolding, obviously the entire thing comes down, which can lead to terrible consequences. Reading is good for redstone. The lectern is a fantastic thing to use if you want to choose a redstone signal strength, because you can literally have a book which tells you what the outputted signal strength will be. For example, we're on page 8, and we are outputting a signal strength of 8. Look at the signs. In my water stream, I would say I've probably placed more signs inside of water streams than I have placed signs for sign's sake. They're cheap, they stop water flowing, and they have no hitbox. It makes them perfect for the job. Do a barrel open? I can. Very easily, despite the fact that there are blocks on top of barrels. You see, barrels can be opened regardless of what's on top of them. Weird transmitters. Blocks that you'll often see in observer-heavy redstone contraptions are note blocks, droppers, and hoppers, and that's because when they're powered or depowered, they send an update through observers, which means that you can use them inside of observer chains. The same goes for redstone lamps, but they're a little bit different because they take 1 tick to turn off, means that when you power them with an observer, the observer that is detecting the redstone lamp will detect the on and the off in quick succession, giving you 2 pulses. Silverfish detection. If you're in an area with lots of silverfish blocks around, a good way to tell if you're touching a silverfish block is if you punch it with your hand. Punching regular stone takes ages to break. Punching silverfish stone, it breaks almost immediately. Target blocks are very rarely used as actual target blocks, and instead are often used for their unique functionality of being a solid block that redirects redstone signals. Things got a lot more compact when these were introduced. And on the topic of redirecting things, redirecting redstone can create bud behaviors. So if I move this target block out the way, you can see the redstone stops being redirected, is now running directly into the redstone lamp. This redstone lamp should be on, but it's not, because it hasn't realized that the redstone has been redirected into it. It will only turn on when it receives a block update. Tripwireless tripwire. String doesn't actually need to be connected to a tripwire hook for us to detect a player with it. If you place a tripwire hook next to a bud, or also an observer, then you will be able to take a redstone output. Strange hopper usage. Hoppers are obviously incredibly useful blocks in Minecraft, but they do have a unique property of being immovable objects that are transparent that can also have redstone components placed on top of them, making them very useful inside of redstone circuits. Powered rails. You will often see these inside of observer-heavy redstone contraptions because they are a lot more lag-friendly than using redstone lines. They also have some unique behaviors, for example, being able to create instant redstone lines. If this setup repeated for thousands of blocks at snaking, the output would still reach the end at the same time. That's ridiculous. I'll put a link to it down in the description. And with that, I do believe I've gotten to the end of my list of blocks. Yeah, we've switched over to entities and items and things now. There are no more blocks. I'm finished. 68 weird uses for Minecraft blocks. Whew, that was a lot. I hope you enjoyed. I'll catch you in the next video. See ya.